The offseason is under full swing and many reports are starting to escalate. And a recent report suggested that the Los Angeles Dodgers are actively pursuing Bo Bichette and that his name is one to watch this offseason for a potential trade. So we're going to break that down and much more on this episode of Jay's Digest. What's up, Jays fans? Nick Gosse here, host of Jay's Digest. And before we get into this crazy video where there was a lot of reports surfacing, I want to remind you to hit the subscribe button. We are on the road to 10,000, and we notice about 65% of you who are watching right now are not subscribed. So go down and check, and if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that button as we approach 10,000. Your support's been unbelievable. All right, let's not waste any more time. We have tons of news to get into today, and the focus is going to be Bo Bichette. Now, we haven't discussed Bo Bichette very much on this channel since the season ended back in October, but some reports just started to surface, and if you're all familiar, reports are starting to escalate heavily as we approach the winter meetings in December and trade news starts to increase, especially revolving around the Toronto Blue Jays, where it's reported that Ross Atkins is supposedly going to be very, very active in that market. And we had a couple of reports emerge as of yesterday about the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So this is from Dodger Nation, and inside the article, it's from an MLB.com insider saying the Dodgers are reportedly monitoring the shortstop trade market and have their eyes on two guys. Do you want to see LA trade for a shortstop this offseason? And you can see right there in the picture, the guy they're talking about is Bo Bichette and Willy Adames. We're going to be focusing on Bo Bichette. The Dodgers, however, quote, will continue to monitor the trade market for a shortstop, mainly Milwaukee's Willy Adames and Toronto's Bo Bichette, per Juan Toribio of MLB.com. Apologize if I said his name wrong, but this is huge news. Now, this is obviously just speculation, and it does not mean that a trade is imminent or a trade is even, if talks are even ongoing. But what it does mean is that the Dodgers are monitoring the shortstop market amidst Gavin Lux's major injuries and the way that he's been performing. And if the Dodgers, they have the assets to acquire Bo Bichette if, a huge caveat, if Ross Atkins wants to make a move and trade Bo Bichette and move on from this core. The chances of that happening, let's be realistic, are not very high. I wouldn't think, at least this offseason. He still has another year under his belt after this season, so he has 2 more years on his contract, meaning that the Blue Jays are in no rush to sell any of their core players. I think they run it back this year with their normal core of Vladdy and Bo, and then if one of them maybe underperforms, or if the core once again fails to win a playoff game, then maybe you think about trading one of Bo Bichette or Vladimir Guerrero Jr., as wild as it sounds. And Blue Jays Twitter kind of went nuclear about this. It blew up on Twitter. And I wanted to highlight this tweet here. And this is what a framework of a potential deal could look like. So Lux won't be playing second baseman if he's a part of a trade. A potential 3-team deal. The Dodgers get Bichette and Burns. Blue Jays get Adames, Sheehan, rushing, and prospects. And the Brewers get Lux, Vargas, Stone, Knack, plus prospects from Toronto. I don't think the Blue Jays make this trade under any circumstance. So I just wanted to highlight how wild people are discussing about this trade. Now, this one would be wild. This would be a Corbin Burns involved trade with Bo Bichette. I don't think there's a world where the Dodgers get Burns and Bo Bichette. But the point is, the Dodgers have so many assets. They have an unbelievable prospect system. Gavin Lux is a very intriguing name if you are the Toronto Blue Jays and you're interested in acquiring someone like that. And if you are going to trade Bo Bichette, which I don't think you should, I don't think you will, I think he is our future shortstop. We saw major improvements just last year on both sides. Obviously, his hitting was very, very phenomenal, and his defense was absolutely stellar compared to what it used to be. It was still about league average or slightly below or above, depending on what metrics you use. I'm not quite sure. But regarding his improvement in general, we saw him mature. We saw him be capable of being a franchise cornerstone player. The question is, do the Toronto Blue Jays and Ross Atkins think that he is the type of player that can lead them to a World Series? And if not, then after this year, this could be an interesting discussion, because I don't think the Jays are going to want to trade it, get alone to the Dodgers, where if Bo Bichette gets traded to the Dodgers, they are instantly a World Series favorite again, and they're a World Series favorite every single year. And it's just such an interesting report that Bichette's name got brought up in this. Now, it's most likely just the Dodgers throwing out the name to this MLB insider and then him reporting it. But maybe there's a chance that Ross Atkins is actually engaging in potential talks to trade Bo Bichette, not necessarily actively shopping him, but doing his due diligence, as every good general manager should, to look at what kind of value you could get for Bo Bichette, because his value is probably at his all-time high right now, given his, well, obviously last season and the season before could have been higher because of the contract situation, but he still has years on his contract. And you can pause and read this. This is directly from the article. And it says he'll be entering his final year of arbitration. As for Bichette, the top one's about Adames. He hit .306 with 20 home runs and 73 RBIs for the Blue Jays. He's an interesting name to watch because he's under contract for another 2 seasons, which is, of course, something the Dodgers value a ton. But Toronto may be hesitant to move him, but they have underperformed in recent years, so maybe they want to shake things up. He will be an incredible get for this team this winter. Either way, it seems that LA wants to make sure they have a contingency plan for the shortstop position. The team knows they need to upgrade all across the roster. Again, this is because Gavin Lux is struggling with injuries, struggling wherever he's been. He's been a shortstop his entire career for the Dodgers, I believe, and he's injured. He's not really... Who knows how good Gavin Lux will be if you are the Dodgers. So acquiring a player like Bo Bichette, who is one of the best shortstops in baseball, whether you like it or not, would be huge. And it's, again, this would be the only caveat and the only reason I think Atkins would even consider it is that third paragraph where it says Toronto may be hesitant to move him, but they have underperformed in recent years, so maybe they want to shake things up. And we've dabbled into Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trades this offseason so far. Now Bo Bichette, and realistically, the Jays aren't going to trade Vladdy because of how low his value is in comparison to 2021 and even just last year. But if you're talking about Bo Bichette, I mean, his value is pretty high right now. So if you do want to move him, it would be interesting to discuss. But it would make your team worse no matter what you get back. You would be giving up the best player in the deal, and you usually don't want to give up the best player in any trade in any sport. So giving up Bo Bichette, nonetheless, to a perennial World Series contender like the Los Angeles Dodgers and World Series winner like the Dodgers, it would be a very, very bold move if you're Ross Atkins, and one that you do to save your job. But even then, it wouldn't make too much sense because you want to win right now if you're the Blue Jays. We know they're going all in on a lot of players, Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, a few players like that they're really pursuing. Who knows what their contingency plan will be if they strike out on all those guys. Maybe they switch and try to completely retool if they're unable to get a Bellinger, an Ohtani, a Yamamoto, some other players like that. It's something very, very interesting to consider, and this report was blowing up. And this is from Lewis saying, well, I would never entertain trading Bo Bichette. I'll gladly take Gavin Lux, Andy Pages, and Emmett Sheehan off the Dodgers' hands. And those are very, very high-end prospects, along with Gavin Lux, who was a former, I believe, #1 prospect, if not a very, very high prospect in the top 100 system. Gavin Lux was. And he's been okay in his MLB career as well. So again, if a team is going to make a deal for Bo Bichette, it's probably going to be the Dodgers. The question is, will Ross Atkins want to trade the shortstop of the future for the Blue Jays? I don't think so. I would not want to trade Bo Bichette under any circumstances. He's proved to be valuable every single year. He's continued to develop with the core. He's continued to improve his defense. And unlike Vladdy, he hasn't really had that horrible down year. He's played with injuries a little bit last year, but other than that, he was very, very solid, and he's been an amazing hitter his whole career, an amazing player his whole career. Defense was the only knock, and he's continuing to improve that every single day. So if he can continue to improve his defense, then we have one of the best players in baseball on our hands. But that'll wrap up the video. Just such an interesting topic to discuss today. And Peter will be back for the next video. We can get his opinions on this as we continue to discuss if these rumors come to fruition. But I saw this, I got scared, I opened the article, and I got almost even more surprised. And again, they're monitoring Willy Adames and Bo Bichette, two players that are in completely different categories. Adames is a very, very good hitter and a very, very good player. Don't get me wrong, but Bichette is one of the most... He's a prolific hitter. He's an unbelievable player. He has some of the most trade value. He has the most trade value on the Blue Jays right now and some of the most in baseball. So it would be a lot to give up if you're giving Bo Bichette up. And you're almost asking to lose a trade anytime you trade a player of Bo Bichette's caliber, of his pedigree. And it's going to be an interesting thing to discuss. But let me know in the comment section below, would you even entertain trading Bo Bichette? And if you would a package similar to one I highlighted from the Dodgers be of interest to you? But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in tomorrow's video. If you want to see our video from yesterday, click on your screen right now. We'll see you then. Cheers.